Welcome again to today's module. Today we are doing Module 1, Unit 1, Lesson 3. Today we'll be focusing on tools that we find in the kitchen. For example, maybe we'll be talking about a whisk. Maybe you'll be drawing and writing about a whisk. I also have tongs, so I pick up my noodles or my meat. Maybe you'll be writing or drawing about a flipper. Well, I flip my pancakes. Or last but not least, this tool is pretty neat. This is a tool I use to make perfectly round eggs, put it right in the pot, or perfectly round pancakes. My boys love this tool, to work with this tool. So today again, we're focusing on cooking tools, and we are on lesson number 3 for our module. So here again, I like to share my screen with you so you can follow along with me. We have 2 targets today. Remember, you can do your bow and arrow shoot if you'd like while we're reading them. The first target is I can examine tools through close observation and drawing. So by looking closely at a tool, you'll be able to draw it. So you'll study the colors, the shape, the texture. The second one is I can ask and answer questions about tools and how they are used. Those who, what, where, when, how, and why questions and why they are used. Remember, the word observation is to look very closely at something. So I went ahead and added a magnifying glass to remind us that when we observe, we look very closely at something. So to repeat, 2 targets: examining tools through close observation. Number 2, asking and answering questions about tools. We're going to begin by going ahead and singing or talking through that song that we did yesterday. This could be a great time to get up and do a brain break if you'd like. I'm going to read through it the first time, and then the second time you're going to go ahead and echo after me. So the first time I'm just reading through it. Are you talking? Are you listening? All my friends will think about the question, look at one another, and take turns So we could even do some movements with it. So all my friends, we can kind of put a circle or a heart. So go ahead, and when I point to you, you'll read it. All my friends. All my friends will think about a question. Look at one another and take turns. Very good. So that is kind of like reading together, echoing together. It's a good strategy to use when we're beginning to read and we want to work on fluency and how it sounds to be a fluent reader. That's the purpose of echo reading. So today we're going to look at a book. It's called We Cook with Tools. To kind of remind us of what kind of tools we might cook with, there's some pictures of a pot. There's some pictures of flippers, noodle grabbers, cups, serving spoons, etc. And when we're done reading this text together, I'm going to ask you what the text was mostly about. You're going to think about what other tools does your family use to cook, and think about one tool that you learned about today and what that tool helps you do. So here is the story. I'm going to click on this link, and it's going to take me in a moment to the story. It may take a moment to get there, so please be patient with me, and hopefully it'll work. There we go. So in the meantime, follow along as I read. And here we go. It says, we cook with tools. There are lots of tools cooks use to make food. A bowl can be used to hold food. So it sounds like in this book, we're going to be talking about tools that we cook with, and knowing that there's a lot of tools that we use to make our food. And the first example is a bowl. The text says a bowl can be used to hold food. I know I also use bowls to mix my food if I'm making, let's say, chocolate chip muffins or something along those lines. Let's keep on going to our next page. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Come on, please work for me. Thank you for your patience. Here we go. Page number 2. Another tool cooks use is a whisk. I just happen to have my whisk right here. A whisk helps mix food together. So I'll have my bowl and I'll be mixing my food for those pancakes or those chocolate chip muffins that I like to make. A spoon is also a good tool for mixing or stirring food. It can also be used to taste or eat your food. So it's saying that a spoon is another good tool for mixing with or stirring food. A spoon is also good for if you want to taste the food or if you want to eat the food, which I'm sure you use in the morning if you had cereal. Okay, the next page. I'm struggling with this today. There we go. The next page has a picture of a knife and a pot. It says, a knife is a tool cooks use for cutting up food. So when you cut up vegetables to put in your soup, or you cut up your meat, you're going to use a knife. And then finally, a pot is a good tool for cooking food on the stove. So I know when I cook my food on the stove, I put it in a pot, and I can use other tools to mix it. The spatula, I like to call it a flipper too, but the proper name is a spatula. A spatula, oh my goodness, can be used to flip food over when it's cooking. So we flip our food over with a spatula. So whether it's a pancake or a burger, we're going to flip it over with a spatula. And then the ending sentence is, what is a cooking tool used in your home? So think for a moment about some cooking tools that are used in your home, and we'll share them today during our Zoom meeting. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about some cooking tools in your home. Okay? I'm wondering what you decided. I showed you a couple of ones I found in my home, but I could think of a bunch more. So I can't wait to hear your response to that question. What cooking tools do you use in your home at our Zoom meeting today? So let's recap this book. The question that we wanted to answer was, what was this text mostly about? And the title kind of gives it away. We cook with tools. So I know that this text, based on the title, is about cooking with tools. And then if I read the first sentence, which is known as the introduction to the story, it says there are lots of tools cooks use to make food. So there's lots of tools that cooks use to make food. And some examples that the author of this book gave us was a bowl, some other examples the author gave us was, you can always go back and look at the text for the answer. The whisk, the author talked about a spoon. The author talked also about a knife and a pot. Also about a spatula. And then they ended the sentence with a closing sentence or question. What is a cooking tool you use in your home? So if we go back to our slideshow, we could answer that question. What is the text mostly about? This text, you would say, is mostly about tools that we use to cook. What other tools does your family use to cook? We'll talk about that during module. And that's one, and we'll also answer this question during module. What tool did we learn about today? So you could have picked any of the ones we learned about today. We'll talk about that in module. As we keep on going, we have a word bank to use. The purpose of a word bank is to help you when you're writing to spell words correctly. And for some of them, I was able to even come up with some pictures, or also known as icons, to help remind you of what the word is. So I'm going to read them and you're going to echo after me. This first word begins with a B, buh, and the word is bowl. And there's a picture of a bowl to remind you that this B word is bowl. I also like to put them in different colors. So if you were writing with me in class, I'd say, oh, it's one of the purple words. Is it bowl or spoon? And then you would sound it out and say buh, buh, and find the B. Another word on our word bank is cook. Cook. Another word you might use is the word eat. Eat begins with the letter E, eat. In the kitchen, a tool might help you with something. That word you can tap out. Help. You also might use a knife. Knife is a funny word. It doesn't sound like a K. It has a silent K at the beginning. It sounds like the N, knife. And there's a picture of a knife if you want to write about that. Another word you might need in your writing today is the word tool. Tool is on here. Here's a picture of a spoon. Spoon, and you can tap that out. Spoon. This is a whisk. WH says wha, isk, whisk. You might work in the kitchen with these tools. This next word is huge. Spatula. Spatula. And then the last word is easy to tap out. It's a 3-letter word. It's called a CVC word, consonant, vowel, consonant. The word is pot. P-A-T. I'm going to read the word and I would like you to echo after me. Bowl, your turn. Cook. Eat. Help. Knife. Tool. Spoon. Whisk. Work. Spatula. Pot. Okay, the purpose of a word bank, again, is to help you when you're doing your own writing to spell some of those words correctly and to also maybe help you with brainstorming and coming up with an idea. Just like yesterday, you're going to pick a tool from your kitchen to draw. If you're in kindergarten, you need to draw, and I'd also like you to use, if the word is on here, the word and label it. If you're not using one of the tools that are on there, you could ask a parent or a family member to help you spell the word, or you could try to tap it out on your own. So for example, if I said cup, I would go cup. And we're going to learn about more of tapping out and sounds and what sounds mean in skills later on today. So you're going to, again, draw a picture of a cooking tool. Remember, like we talked about yesterday, adding details, adding colors, getting the actual tool and examining the different shapes that you might see. So on here, I see 1, 2, 3 circles, and that would help me draw it. And then you're gonna, if you're in first grade or if you want to be a challenged kindergartner, you're going to write about how does it help you cook. So if I picked my whisk, I would draw a picture of my whisk. I would label it, because scientists always label it up in the box. And then down below, how does it help you cook? A whisk helps you to stir food. So again, a whisk helps you to stir food. If I picked my spatula, I would draw a picture of my spatula, looking closely at all those different shapes I see. Looking at, there we go, looking at the color. I could even add the writing on there if I wanted to do. And then, I guess it's 2 colors. And then I would label it spatula using my word bank over here to spell it correctly. And if I'm in first grade or want to be challenged, I would go ahead and say a spatula helps you flip the food. So those are 2 examples that you can use, but you can choose any tool in your own kitchen if your parent gives you permission to use that tool. So you want to make sure it's a safe tool. So let's go ahead and review our targets to make sure that we covered or will be covering what we wanted to accomplish today. The first target is I can examine tools through close observation and drawing. You'll be doing that before we meet for our Zoom meeting today. So you'll be closely looking at the tool that you choose, and then you'll be writing about it or drawing about it. Next, I can ask and answer questions about tools and how they are used. We'll be talking about that during our Zoom today. So remember, a question might be, what do I use a spatula for? Where can I buy a spatula? Why do I use a spatula? So I'm going to stop my share real quick. Come back to you live with my face. And remember, today we are talking about tools that you find in the kitchen. And your job right now is to go ahead and draw a tool, including the details. And then also, if you're in first grade, writing about that tool. Both kindergartners and first graders can also label their tool. I look forward to seeing your work. Kindergartners, I'll see you at 9:45. First graders at 10 o'clock. Stay focused, work hard. If you need a brain break, this would be a good time before you start your work. And I look forward to seeing and hearing from you. Have a fabulous rest of your morning.